Hi, angels. It is MJ over at Angelomaternityservices. And today I wanted to come to you guys with a quick video. And this video is going to be about boundaries. I think boundaries are so important. So I decided to do a whole series of videos about nothing but boundaries. That it's that important. Okay. So why are boundaries so important for women, especially during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum? Let's talk about it. I'd like to start out by telling a story about me. That way, you guys get to know me a little bit better and I get to run my mouth, which is what I love to do. So, I'm terribly afraid of bears. I used to live in North Carolina, and when I first got there, I rented an Airbnb from this girl, and she was a Floridian. If you guys know, I live in Florida now. But at the time, I was thinking of moving to North Carolina, but wasn't exactly sure where I wanted to live. And generally, when I move somewhere, I do this thing where I scope out different neighborhoods by renting in the neighborhoods to see where I like best. This is what I do. So that's what I did. I rented an Airbnb for like a month or two to see if I like that area, just to kind of figure out where I wanted to be. And when I got to the Airbnb, the girl was sending me a text as I'm walking through the door of the Airbnb. She sends me a text and she says, "Hey, so sorry that I missed you, but I'm on my way to Florida. I had to pack up and leave. Everything is set out for you. There is a note on your bed. Have a good time. Call me if you need me." Perfect. So I go into the Airbnb, and it's a small house, and it's in a sort of mountainous area, a little hilly area. And it was beautiful. It was right away, I felt like, wow, this place is magical. I didn't want to go to North Carolina because I'm like, what's in North Carolina? Like send me somewhere fabulous, right? I'd never been to North Carolina, so I didn't really know what it was like. So I didn't really want to be there, but upon arriving, I could feel right away that the environment was vibing with me, and I started to love it. But anyway, so I entered the house, small house, and as I'm entering, I came in through the kitchen, and I'm coming in through the back, through the kitchen. And right away, I'm very observant. Right away to my right, I noticed a large glass window that was covered with wood and metal. And I thought, that's interesting. Why is a window missing in the kitchen? So I went ahead and went in, and I decided to text message her and ask about the window. By that time, I'd made it to the bedroom where I was going to be sleeping, started unpacking my things, found my note of instructions that she left me on the bed about like how to get coffee and all of the things. And at the bottom of the note, it said, "Oh, and if you see a bunch of bears out in the backyard through your window, just stay inside." Instantly, my intuition told me the bears had already been in the house. That's what the metal and the wood against the window was about. I panicked. Let me tell you guys, I'm horribly afraid of bears. Now, I do come from I was born in a place that has bears. I was born in Tennessee. So we have bears in Tennessee, right? But where I'm from, we don't have bears. The bears don't come as far down as where I was born. And so I was taken aback, and I thought to myself, okay, so if these bears have already been in here, they're comfortable being in here, they probably had a snack, and they're probably going to come back. So I was like, I'm not staying here. There's no way I'm staying here. So I started texting her, and I'm like, hey, did the bears come in the house? Is what I want to know. Because you're telling me to stay in the house, that I'm safe in here as long as I don't go out there. I don't know a lot about bears, but I know about people. And I know if people find good food in a warm environment, and they came in and they got away with coming in and just taking food and doing whatever they want to do, they'll probably revisit. I'm going to assume that bears are similar. So I was like, no, I can't stay here. Anyway, long story short, we ended up working out some things, and I did end up staying there, but the window had to be that thing had to be fixed, and some we had to make some other arrangements. But I was terrified for the short period of time that I was there. I did shorten my stay. I did not stay for like 2 months there. I shortened it to about 2 days until I could find another place to go, another Airbnb. And I left because I'm like, no, I'm not about to be lying here in bed and a bear comes in and knocks on the door and asks me, why did you eat all the honey in the kitchen? I'm not, no. So basically, moral of the story is started thinking about my life in North Carolina and all the hikes that I went on. If you know me, you know that I love the outdoors. I love the natural environment. And so I like to hike, I like to do a lot in nature. And North Carolina is the place for that. It is absolutely naturally gorgeous and beautiful. And so I did a lot of hiking there, and I was thinking the other day about it, about North Carolina, about the beauty, but mostly about the bears. Every now and then I have a nightmare about bears. I am horribly afraid of bears. So they come up in my dreams a lot. And I was thinking about the bears, and I thought about the instructions that I got because I was taking advice from people who had hiked these mountains, been in the mountains for a long time. And I said, what do I need to do to keep myself safe? That was my number one priority, as it is for most women. We want to know about safety. So I asked, what do I need to do to keep myself safe? And one of the main things, I think the first things I was told was, don't ever get between a mama bear and her cubs. And that brought me back to the doula world and the birthing world and women in general and how we think. We think about safety first. This is something that we're very much in tune with. So I wanted to talk about 5 reasons why mamas need good boundaries. Boundaries protect us. And when I thought about that mama bear, and I thought, coming between a mama bear and her baby cubs, as I was told, was one of the most dangerous situations you can find yourself in. And so, thinking about women and pregnancy and birth and postpartum, having good boundaries protects us. Mama bears have very, very good boundaries. They are not going to hold back if they feel that you are a danger to them or their babies. So that's the first thing. So having good boundaries protects us. And I learned that from mama bears. The second thing is we are at our most vulnerable when we're pregnant and giving birth for obvious reasons. You're more vulnerable when you're pregnant. You can't really run away. You are a lot heavier. You are maybe not firing on all cylinders the way you would have been prior to pregnancy because of brain fog or what we call pregnancy brain. A lot of women experience that. And so when you give birth, the situation is the same. You're vulnerable because your body is healing. You just gave birth. And this is a time of, should be a time of safety for you and for you to heal and relax and recuperate, right? So these are 2 of the most vulnerable times in a woman's life. This is why having firm boundaries is so, so important, because you want to have a space of safety and peace around that particular time in your life because you are vulnerable. And number 3, why boundaries are so important, because our babies need us to protect them. Ladies, if we don't have good boundaries, how are we going to protect this baby that we're bringing into the world? If you don't know how to stand in your power and say no, how are you going to help this new baby as they grow develop the ability to do that? How are you going to protect this baby long enough for this baby to become a child or a young adult if you don't know how to do that? If you don't know how to do it for yourself, how are you going to be able to translate that and teach this to this child? How are you going to be able to protect this child? It's going to be very, very difficult. You're going to find some challenges. And we have to remember that our kids pick up on not only what we say, but also the things that we do. So, this is our third reason why boundaries are so important. Number 4, the fourth reason why good boundaries are important is because people are apt to violate us when they know our boundaries are weak. Spouses, boyfriends, Sade Robinson comes to mind. Lacey Peterson comes to mind. If you don't know who these women are, please Google it. You need good, strong boundaries. You need good intuition to keep yourself and your baby safe. It is a real thing. We live in a beautiful world, but we also live in a place that can be dangerous if we are not careful, and if we are not using our intuition, and if we are not prioritizing our safety. And one of the ways we do that, ladies, is through having very strong boundaries. In-laws come to mind. I hear so many women talk about, oh, I just had a baby, I'm in the throes of postpartum, my baby's 3 days old. I got all of these things going on with my body. I have a newborn baby that I'm trying to figure out how to feed. My spouse and I are both sleep deprived, and his mama is wanting to come over today. And I'm just not up to it. The house is not in its best form because I've been around the clock every 2 to 3 hours, waking up, breastfeeding a newborn baby, balancing that with trying to take care of myself. I haven't had time to do anything else. I really don't feel like having over a person who's probably going to expect me to entertain them, to talk to them. I'm just not at my best. I just had a baby. I really want to take this time to bond with my baby, to bond with my new family, with my husband and my baby, and just try to rest and recuperate and heal. But I'm getting so much pushback from family, from friends saying that I'm being selfish, saying that, they don't understand how we could close them out, blah, 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 blah. And the list goes on. These are the stories that we hear. And it's of women essentially saying, I don't really know what to say or what to do. I don't want to ruin these relationships. But at the same time, how do I protect myself in this vulnerable period? So, in laws can become really big problems for us if we don't have good boundaries. Random strangers, I hear stories of women saying, I'm 9 months pregnant. This random stranger stops and starts talking to me, and God bless their soul, they reach out and touch my belly. Now, a lot of people probably wouldn't feel offended by that. I myself have a very big personal space boundary. I do. I don't want to be touched, period. So for a stranger to reach over and just decide to touch my belly, I personally don't think that's cute, right? A lot of women experience that, and it is a violation of your personal space boundary. Nobody should be touching you without your permission. Nobody should be walking up to you and just randomly deciding they're going to reach out and touch you. Whether you're pregnant or not, having a baby on board doesn't excuse that kind of behavior. And so it's really important for women to understand how to set that boundary. So random strangers can, do boundary violations on you. Animals can sense when we don't have good boundaries, and they will violate our boundaries. Even animals will do it. Have you ever been somewhere and a dog just runs up to you and just starts jumping all over you, licking you, and you're like, whose dog is this? And their claws, they're clawing you, they're scratching you as they're jumping up on you. And you're like, whose dog is this? I've had that happen to me before. Animals and small children tend to really, really love me. And I've had small kids to just run up and hug me, which I always welcome. I love that. But the animals jumping up on me, clawing me, slobbering on me, licking all over me. I love animals too, but it's just like, whose dog is this? Whose dog is this? So if a dog senses that you are a big heart, and they can sense this, I believe this, or if they sense you don't have very good boundaries, they will do this to you. So that is something that I think is it really needs to have a lot of thought into it, because again, when we're entering pregnancy, birth, postpartum, this is the time where you need airtight boundaries in order for you to have the peace that you deserve and that is required for you to get through this period of time in your life. And the number five, the fifth reason, number five, why mamas need good boundaries is to minimize the risk of trauma, which, by the way, you can pass on to your child. We could talk about epigenetics in another video. I don't want to get into it now because this is probably not the correct platform for that. But if you want to know more about that, let me know. But yes, trauma that we get because we don't have good boundaries. And we live in a world where, let's just be honest, as beautiful as it is, it requires good boundaries. It just does. Not everybody is going to treat us in the way that we want them to. Everybody doesn't follow the golden rule. And so we need good boundaries in order to mitigate the risk of being traumatized. So this is really important because trauma is harmful to us. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the ACEs, but these are adverse childhood experiences and how that trauma pours over into the rest of our lives, that it can lead to all sorts of things, including illnesses, cancer, heart disease, all sorts of horrible, horrible things, mental health issues. So minimizing the risk of trauma is very important. And one of the most powerful ways that we can minimize our risk of trauma is by setting good, healthy boundaries. You need good, healthy boundaries. I mentioned early spouses and boyfriends and in-laws. You need good, healthy boundaries with both the people you love and strangers. You need them, period. Boundaries are a gate. They let you know where my property area starts and ends, and where yours starts and ends, so that we don't violate each other. It's not a wall, it is a gate. That way, when we want to open it, we can open it and let in the things and the people that are appropriate. And then when we need to close it, we close it for toxic people, for people who won't hear our no, for people who don't respect us as the parent and the one making the decisions over this newborn, right? Those people we close the gate on and we say, absolutely not. I don't want that drama. I want peace. So boundaries are very good. As a doula, I educate women on how to use their boundaries to get their best pregnancy, birth, and postpartum outcomes. Have you ever been in a situation while pregnant or as a mama where someone is outright rude to you or disrespectful and you freeze or you ignore it, only to later feel, I wish I could redo that scenario. I would have said this, I would have done this, I would have changed this, I would have, could have, should have. If you want to know more about how I help mamas have the birth of their dreams by empowering them to use their boundaries more effectively, email me or leave a comment below. Definitely want to hear about your boundary violation stories while pregnant, while giving birth, or during your postpartum period. Those stories actually help other women. They help us to realize how we can protect ourselves, and it helps us all to grow. We all learn from each other. And until next time, I will see you guys on the next video. Birth and postpartum doula. My company is Angelo Maternity Services. If you want to work with me, my email is angelomaternityservices@gmail.com. I'd love to give you a free consultation. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.